Hello friends, my name is Ryan, and today I'm going to tell you a story named The BTK Killer, a serial killer's double life, which is an amazing story full of twists and turns. So, let's begin. It was a quiet, ordinary night in Wichita, Kansas. The air was cool and the moon hung low in the sky. People were getting ready to sleep, unaware of the terror that had been lurking in their midst for years. A man, living a completely ordinary life, had become a monster in the shadows. But no one knew this. He walked among them, blending in as just another man. But behind his quiet, unassuming demeanor, he was hiding a dark secret, one that would haunt this town for years to come. His name was Dennis Rader. To the outside world, he was a family man, a churchgoer, and an employee at ADT Security. But beneath that facade, he was the BTK killer. And he had already begun his reign of terror. Rader's murders began in the 1970s, but the first chilling signs were not immediately clear to anyone. His first victim was a young woman named Josephine Otero, who had just moved to Wichita with her family. On January 15, 1974, Rader broke into the Otero family home and took control of the lives inside. He tied up Josephine, her husband, and their 2 children. And in the most brutal fashion, he killed them all. The world would never know what had really happened in that house, at least, not yet. The most disturbing part of this was Rader's ability to leave no trace, no obvious clue, nothing to lead the police closer to him. He had meticulously planned this act, leaving behind only the most disturbing of details. He left behind a calling card of sorts. He took the time to send a letter to the media, taunting them with cryptic messages. He signed the letter with a chilling moniker, BTK, which stood for bind, torture, kill. He wanted to make sure they knew exactly who he was. But that wasn't the end. Years passed, and with every murder, Rader grew more daring, more confident in his ability to get away with it. He sent letters to the police, making sure that they knew he was still out there. His letters grew more twisted, more calculated. He would describe in detail how he had carefully planned each murder. He would taunt the authorities, telling them how they had no idea who he was. And with each passing year, his need to feel in control grew stronger. But all that time, no one knew who the killer was. He could have been anyone, living right under their noses. No one suspected the man with the perfect job, the loving family, and the good reputation. It was a terrifying thought, wasn't it? To think that a killer could be so close, that you could be living next door to a monster without even knowing it. Rader had no intention of stopping. With every murder, he felt more invincible. He felt as though he was untouchable. But in 1991, something strange happened. For over a decade, there had been no killings. The world almost forgot about BTK. But for Rader, the hunger had not subsided. He had simply been biding his time, waiting for the perfect moment to strike again. And then, in 2004, after 13 long years, BTK reappeared. This time, he contacted the media once again. He was back. The community was terrified. The thought that the killer had been walking among them all this time, living his life, made people uneasy. But they still had no clue who he was. They had no way of knowing that the man they passed on the street every day, the man sitting next to them in church, the man at their workplace, was the very monster they feared. Rader had been careful. He had done everything right. Or so he thought. The one thing he didn't account for was technology, the rise of the internet, and how the police were using it to gather information. In 2005, Rader made a crucial mistake. He sent a floppy disk to the media, believing it would be his way to communicate without a trace. But little did he know, law enforcement had become much smarter. They were able to trace the disk back to a church where Rader had been an active member. The police were closing in. In February of 2005, Dennis Rader was arrested. His double life had been exposed, and the quiet, ordinary man who had once been a trusted member of his community was now a notorious serial killer. The man who had been able to live among them, unnoticed for decades, was finally unmasked. And as the police delved deeper into his past, they uncovered the horrors he had hidden for so long. The community, once shaken by the terrifying thought that they had been living beside a monster, could now rest easy. But the scars of his reign of terror would never be erased. Raider's story is a reminder of how evil can lurk behind the most ordinary of facades. It's a story that reminds us that sometimes, the people we trust the most can be hiding dark secrets, things that we can never even imagine. And it's a story that also shows the strength of those who fight back, who never give up, even when faced with the most insidious of crimes. Now, as I tell you this story, let it serve as a reminder. Evil can exist anywhere. But so can justice. If you want to hear more stories, filled with suspense, twists, and the darkest parts of human nature, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Stay with us, and let's uncover more mysteries together. Remember, the world is full of hidden truths. Don't stop searching.